What's going on, guys? It's me, Barnsey, back with another video, and in today's video, I'm going to recap the crazy trade deadline that just happened earlier today. In this video, I'll give my analysis on the trades and compare them to my predictions. I will say the trades in chronological order so that we stay organized with all the trades, and also I will really only cover the bigger trades so that I don't keep you guys waiting around for an hour or so. If you enjoy this type of content, please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe with post notifications on so you never miss any other videos like these. And with all that being said, let's get right into the video. Alright, beginning the video off, we saw the Chicago Bulls make a large move, trading Otto Porter, Wendell Carter Jr., and 2 first-round picks to the Orlando Magic in exchange for superstar center Nikola Vucevic and forward Al-Farouq Aminu. This trade's pretty solid for both sides. For the Bulls, they're getting Zach LaVine some help by grabbing one of the premier centers in the entire league, along with a solid defender in Al-Farouq Aminu. The Magic also did pretty well for this trade. Sure, they traded their best player, but he wanted to go anyways, and they're needing a rebuild. Anyways, the Magic are getting a very solid role player in Otto Porter. They're getting a solid young big man in Wendell Carter Jr. and 2 first-round picks, one of which being 2021, which could potentially be a lottery pick. My grade for this trade would probably be an A- for the Bulls, because even though they're getting a superstar, they had to give up some great role players along with 2 first-round picks. And then an A- for the Magic, because they got good guys back, but they also lost their best player, which is why it's not a total win for them. Alright, next up, let's talk about a bold move made by the Boston Celtics. The Celtics traded for guard Evan Fournier to bolster their depth. For the Celtics, they're getting a 20-point-per-game score with a near 50-40-80 shooting stats. For the Celtics, he'll purely be a depth player, which is great. The Celtics' one weakness this season has been their lack of offensive play off the bench. They're putting so much pressure on their young guys like Peyton Pritchard and Semi Ojeleye to get them buckets, and that's just totally unfair for young guys like them. So Evan will fit perfectly for the Celtics bench. For the Magic, this is probably the best they could have done. If they did not deal Fournier at the deadline, they would have just seen him walk in free agency. So it's for sure a positive that they're at least getting 2 second-round picks for him, instead of letting him just go without getting nothing for him. In terms of grades go, I'll give the Celtics an A- because they got a solid 20 points per game score at little to no cost, and then a B for the Magic because they're getting some pieces back for Fournier, but they also lost a star in him, so I have to give them a B-. Also, quick side note, I'll show you guys a quick video, but I actually predicted Evan to sign with the Celtics on my video on my podcast channel just a couple days ago. Evan Fournier will go to the Boston Celtics. Alright, for the next and arguably the most important trade of the day, we have the Nuggets making a big splash, trading Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, and a protected first-round pick in exchange for Aaron Gordon and Gary Clark. Poor Orlando Magic. I didn't know it was possible to see a team rebuild in one day, but the Magic somehow accomplished that, trading Vucevic, Fournier, and Gordon in one day. That's crazy. Despite getting a youngster out of this, the Magic lost this trade, let's be real. At the young age of 25, Aaron's averaging 15, 7, and 5, as well as shooting over 40% from the 3-point range. Bringing another young star like Gordon into Denver gives them a scary young big 3 in Murray, Gordon, and obviously the potential MVP, Nikola Jokic. In terms of grading, I'll give the Nuggets an A- on this deal because even though they're getting a young star, he came at a hefty price, giving away a young player, a role player, and then obviously the valuable first-round pick. Then for the Magic, I had to give them around a C+ because they lost a valuable young player in return. And in return, they got a pretty bad player, a young player, and then a late first-round pick, which is probably not equivalent to a guy at Aaron's potential. Next up, let's talk about the Norm Powell trade. Norman was sent to the Trailblazers in exchange for Gary Trent Jr. and Rodney Hood. This is a pretty interesting trade for both sides. For the Blazers, they're getting another scorer, which will be great, but he will perform even better if they give him a starting role for sure. But for the Raptors, they're getting a young yet very, very skilled player in Trent Jr., which could play a critical role in the Raptors' potential rebuild. Because both teams are benefited, I'm going to give them both an A- grade here, because the Blazers are getting an elite scorer and floor spacer, and the Raptors are getting a young scorer, Gary Trent's only like 22, along with a veteran body to spread the court. Alright, next up, we have a trade sending Clippers guard Lou Williams, along with 2 second-round picks, to the Atlanta Hawks in exchange for Rajon Rondo. And this is a pretty weird trade for me, because I feel like the Hawks got a complete highway robbery out of this one. If this trade was a 1-for-1, the Hawks would likely win this one regardless, so getting 2 more second-round picks on top of that just makes it a whole lot worse for the Clippers. Grading-wise, I would give it an A for the Hawks, because even though he's having a bad down year, Lou Will's still elite off the bench, and they also received 2 second-rounders to make it even better for them. And then for the Clippers, I want to give them a B-, because Rajon is a good presence in the locker room, and he's also undeniably better in the playoffs, which is what the Clippers need after choking a 3-1 lead to the Nuggets last year. Alright, so before we move to our final trade of the deadline, let's talk about players who surprisingly did not get traded at the deadline. First off, everyone was shocked to hear that Kyle Lowry did not get traded at the deadline, because now the Raptors will not really be able to get any assets in return for Kyle, likely meaning he will walk at the end of free agency this year. This is horrible for the Raptors, because they should already be rebuilding their team, and the more they hang onto the era of Kyle Lowry, the longer it would take them to complete their rebuild. Another player we were surprised to hear not to be traded was New Orleans Pelicans point guard Lonzo Ball. We heard from his father that he wanted to leave, and we all thought that he could possibly have gone to 2 teams like Chicago or Charlotte who would benefit from Lonzo's playstyle. On top of this, we also saw LaMarcus Aldridge and Andre Drummond not get bought out by their teams, which is a surprise, as both these teams have been extremely vocal, saying it's time to start a new era and get rid of these 2 older players. Alright, and the final trade I'll be talking about is the Victor Oladipo trade. The Houston Rockets traded shooting guard Victor Oladipo to the Miami Heat in exchange for Kelly Olynyk, Avery Bradley, and a draft swap. This is pretty awful for the Rockets. To begin with, they already screwed up trading promising young star Karis LeVert for Oladipo in the Harden deal. Their front office is a joke, so the trade really turned out to be James Harden for Kelly Olynyk, Avery Bradley, and a draft swap. Because of this, I'll give the Rockets a B-, because even though they mishandled the Karis LeVert thing, they still got decent pieces back for Oladipo, who has missed so much time in his career due to injuries and just inconsistencies in general. And then an A- for the Heat, because they're gambling for trading for Oladipo. He's either going to be a big hit or a big miss, but after all, it's not the end of the world, because they didn't give much up for him at all. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to hit that like button and sub with noties on. It's totally free and a great way to support both me and my channel. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.